Today, I thought it would be nice to go on to Town with my pile of moss on the Spanish-Portuguese server since it's less populated, and check out some map errors such as this one right here. The cliffs over here have a mushroom growing on them, and then there's also some flowers here that are clipping underneath the cliffs in a weird, strange way, and it just overall is a couple of map errors just in this one location alone. But that's not just it. If we actually go a little bit more to the right over here, you can see that there is a tree right here that's growing also inside the cliff in a strange way. These are just a couple of map errors, and there's tons of more, so stick around for the video to see all of these different map errors that we're going to explore in this video. I'm not doing this as a way to kind of dig at a Town or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I really love Town, and I think this video might help them because, well, they're kind of new. They're a new server, honestly, and I think that's probably why a lot of these map errors are here at the time. So let's go this way, very far off in this direction, and we're going to talk about a little bit less of a map error. I mean, it's still technically a map error, but it is a little bit less serious, and that is this bush right here where you have clovers growing inside of it. And that just overall I feel like is something that just maybe shouldn't exist. You probably shouldn't have these clover patches growing inside of objects like this. So if it was me, at least, I would definitely move maybe this small bush maybe over here or something like that. And definitely overall, in general, this whole area right here kind of looks a little bit bare. Maybe you could add a little bit more stuff or remove the ponytown stumps and ponytown trees, because that is something else that I want to give as a piece of advice to this custom server as well. Go ahead and replace all of the ponytown trees with your own trees. Your trees actually genuinely look really cool and unique, and so it just clashes with the old ponytown style, and so it just kind of creates a weird thing. Get rid of all of the old ponytown style trees, even though you've changed the color of them and stuff like that. It just still doesn't feel like it fits. Then of course you have the stumps and the rocks and the barrels, and there's so many other items here that are left over from Ponytown that I personally would consider replacing as soon as possible, just so that your art style is consistent throughout. This is located in like the bottom right corner of the entire map, by the way. But we're actually moving up here because, again, with the barrels, there's no map area here, but the barrels, you have your own barrel texture that you have on the main map. You have it in the party house and things like that too. Just replace these with your barrels, and I think this area would look better. Something else to note too about the map here in Town is that they have a lot of these cliffs, such as this one right here with the graveyard here and everything like that, that you cannot access unless you have a pair of wings. Sure, you can make them invisible like I did with my character here, but there is no like ramp going up here. There's no staircase going up here. It's literally impossible to get onto that cliff unless you have wings. And that is not just this cliff right here. There's multiple cliffs here in Town that you cannot get onto if you don't have a pair of wings. But our next actual map error is here at this barrel storage. Again, I would prefer to replace these barrels with your own barrels just because the art styles here clash. Maybe even replace these stone walls as well, and maybe that's what you intend to do, and that's why this map error is still here. In my very first Town video, when the server was absolutely positively brand new, I pointed out this map error in the video, and it actually is still here, which I think is a little bit funny. It's right here next to the barrel, it's right here next to the barn, and it's still kind of messed up. The next map error that I want to show off is here at the party house, which is the party house, by the way. If you're watching and you've never found it before, that is what this is. You can go inside here and it's like a little party house. I don't know why they don't have like, I mean, they have a flag here now, but they don't have anything that says, oh, this is the party house. Anyway, it is this radio right here. It kind of isn't layered properly, so you can kind of get behind it, and it looks weird and awkward and needs a little bit of fixing. So this is another map error to the list. The new Billboard, this is new, by the way. This video is probably going to go out. A lot of these map errors and stuff are probably already going to be fixed. But this Billboard actually does need a little bit of tweaking with the see-through colliders. Because as you can see, when I'm right here, you can actually see behind there, and it knows where I am. But when I'm behind here against the Billboard, you actually can't see through it anymore unless I toggle on see-through obstacles. So for some reason, the actual I forget what it's called, but it's like the see-through obstacle range something is kind of slightly off, and it needs to be slightly lowered because right now I have to be kind of high up on the Billboard for it to actually detect that I'm behind it. So there's some kind of detection here that's off, and therefore should be considered a map error and needs to be fixed. The next map error takes us up here. This is a little bit more difficult to find, but it's not that much further up from the barn and to the right of the party house over there. If you go over here, you can see that there is a stump, but also a tree. So for some reason, there is, I guess, either a stump that has been placed on top of this tree, or maybe this tree is just overall glitched. as I said earlier, I would much prefer if Dusttown just went away with all of the old Ponytown graphics, basically, and got rid of the old trees and the bushes and the rocks and even the barrels, and just replaced them with their own textures. So if you do go that route, you would most likely find this and be able to remove this and replace it with that. That's what I would personally do anyway, is just replace this tree or get rid of it, or, you know, something like that. But either way, this tree is here, it is glitched, it is combined with a stump in a strange way that shouldn't be possible. And if we actually fly up a little bit further up from here, all the way to the top right corner of the map, or rather even not even to the top right corner of the map, you can see that there's another tree here. Again, the old Ponytown tree. However, there is kind of a new tree here that is also kind of glitched because you have a bunch of flowers growing underneath it and clipping in a weird way. They even extend underneath some of these bushes, and like I said, this tree right here slightly. So this is also just another super simple fix, but yet another that I wanted to include on the list. If you go into this building right here, you'll be able to find yet another map error. Let me know in the comments below if you can detect where that map error is, or if you already know where it is inside this building. But we're gonna go over here now to the right corner of the map, because if I come over here and even not even flying, I can just get behind this post board here, which shouldn't be possible because it is hanging on the wall, and so therefore this is yet another map error right here in the corner. If we go into this building, we can see our, I believe, our final map error, or our last couple of map errors. The first one that I want to show off here is the fact that you can actually kind of stand on this counter. The collider, or the collision for this counter, seems to be focused around the actual top part of the counter and not the entire counter, and therefore you can actually just straight up stand on top of the side of the counter, which just doesn't look that good in my opinion, but also definitely is not intentional. I struggle to say it's map error because it is technically part of the map, but I think it's more this object that's the problem and not the map, including this stack of dynamite right here. None of these dynamite have any collider. This could be on purpose, this could be intentional, I have no idea, I have no way of knowing, but I just wanted to include it in this video as well because, again, this might not be a map error, but this might just be a problem with the object itself. Maybe it just doesn't have a collider yet. I want to just have this be more of an honorable mention, I suppose, than anything else. I believe in that Dusttown is probably planning to do something with the caves. This is more of a theory than it is anything else. There's probably some map errors in here. I didn't even really bother to check for map errors in this cave because I honestly think that Dusttown is probably going to do something with these because they have it, right? It is strange that they would even include it if all they did was put a couple of bones around, right? It is exactly the same way as it is in Ponytown, maybe minus a couple of areas like this area right here, which has a storage area, and an area up here that has a storage area. Minus those two places, this is the exact way that the mines used to look many, many years ago when they were first released, and that leads me to believe that, in my opinion, that means they're eventually going to get to these caves. This could just be me hoping for something, but I didn't want to include map errors in the caves because I really think they're going to be doing something to the caves. So, honorable mention, there's probably bugs and issues and stuff like that here in these caves, but that is it for the video. Let me know if you knew about these, or if they're even in the game anymore, because this video, when this video comes out, these map errors, or at least some of these map errors, are probably going to be fixed, because some of them have to be known about, right? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and doing all of those wonderful things like that, because when you do wonderful things like that, not only do you get access to wonderful content such as this, but you also get to become wonderful yourself, and I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.